You ever think about what it actually means to fall in love with God? Not in that religious, follow the rules or else kind of way. I mean really fall in love. Like love, the same way you fall in love with a person or a moment, or even life itself. It's weird because we throw that word around so easily, love, but when it comes to God, people get uncomfortable. Either they turn it into something super formal, or they reject it completely. But I've been thinking maybe that's the problem. Maybe we've made it too distant, too complicated. When I say fall in love with God, I don't mean join a religion or memorize a book or prove you're holy. I mean, wake up one day and actually feel something real for the thing that gave you life. Like, look around and realize, 'tis is all Him. Everything, every person you meet, every sunrise, every moment of pain that turns into wisdom, all of it. And honestly, that kind of love doesn't start with belief, it starts with awareness. Like when you're sitting outside, and the sun's hitting the trees just right, and you get that small wave of peace that comes out of nowhere. That's the beginning of it. That moment when you realize there's something bigger at play, something intelligent, something loving. You know what's crazy? You can't fake that. You can't force it. Just like you can't force love with a person. You can't make your heart open by logic or argument. It just happens. Usually when you stop fighting it. Most of us were trying to control everything. Our careers, our relationships, our image, our next step. And the more we try to control, the further we drift from that sense of connection. It's like trying to steer a river with your hands. The moment you let go, that's when you start to feel the flow. Maybe that's what falling in love with God is. Letting go enough to notice what's already guiding you. And I think love, real love, is built on understanding. When you understand something deeply, a person, an animal, a planet, whatever, you start to care for it naturally. You don't have to force it. You don't have to be told to. So maybe loving God starts with trying to understand what God even, and not as an old man in the sky or a concept you argue about on Twitter, but as the intelligence that breathes through everything, the consciousness behind your consciousness. Think about it. You didn't choose to exist. You didn't design your own heart or tell your lungs to start working. Something did that for you. Something is keeping you alive right now without you even thinking about it. How do you not love that? How do you not feel some kind of awe for that? But we forget, man. We get busy. We get distracted. The world pulls our attention in 1,000 directions, and the quiet voice, that deeper presence, gets drowned out. And then we start thinking God is missing or silent or not real. But maybe God's just patient. Maybe He's been talking this whole time, but we're just too loud to hear it. That's why I think silence is underrated, like really underrated. Not just physical silence, but mental silence. When you actually stop the inner chatter for a few moments, something changes. You start to feel this deep hum underneath everything. It's not dramatic. It's not like angels singing or anything. It's subtle, but it's powerful. It's like tuning into a frequency that's always been there. And that's when you start to feel close to something bigger. It's weird, but the more you slow down, the more the world opens up. The trees look alive. The air feels intentional. Even people you used to ignore start to look like miracles. You see this pattern, like everything is part of one mind. And when you see that, when you really see it, you can't help but fall in love with it. And maybe that's the trick. You don't find God by running toward Him. You find Him by removing what blocks you from seeing Him, the noise, the ego, the fear, the constant need to be right. Once that stuff drops, love fills the space naturally. I think about how humans fall in love. It's never just because someone's perfect. You fall in love because they make you feel seen. They reflect something beautiful back to you. So maybe falling in love with God is realizing that He's the ultimate mirror, showing you what's inside, what's broken, what's beautiful. And when you start to see that reflection clearly, even the flaws make sense. Even the pain starts to look like art. You ever go through something horrible like heartbreak or loss and later on realize it actually made you stronger, wiser, more compassionate? That's God's kind of love. It's not always soft or easy. Sometimes it breaks you open so you can expand. You think it's punishment, but it's really transformation. And that's the hardest part to accept. That love from God doesn't always look like comfort. Sometimes it's chaos. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's losing everything so you can finally see what matters. But that's love too. That's tough love, the kind that wants you to grow. The more I think about it, the more I realize falling in love with God is the same as falling in love with reality, because that's what He is, reality itself. Not the filtered version, not your expectations, but the raw, unedited truth of what it is. When you stop resisting, when you stop wishing it were something else, you start to feel peace. You start to fall in love with the moment, every messy, beautiful part of it. And when you love the moment, you're loving the source behind it. That's God. You ever look at a newborn baby? That innocence, that purity, that unfiltered presence, that's God shining through. Or look into a dog's eyes, the loyalty, the unconditional love. Same thing. Or even the way your body heals a wound without you doing anything. That's intelligence. That's love. That's God. And when you start seeing that everywhere, you realize He's never been gone. He's been hidden in plain sight. But the problem is, we project too much. We think God has to look a certain way, or fit into our philosophy, or match our idea of justice. But that's like saying you'll only love the ocean if the waves behave exactly how you want. The ocean doesn't change for you. It invites you to understand it, to respect it, to trust it. That's love. And when you start trusting that life, all of it is happening for you and not you, something inside shifts. You start seeing beauty even in the hard parts. You stop needing to know why things happen. You just surrender, not in a weak way, but in a way that says, all right, I trust you. I don't get it, but I trust you. And that's when peace sneaks in. It's not fear-based anymore. You're not following rules out of guilt. You're living out of love. You start wanting to do good because it feels natural, not because you're scared of punishment. You start forgiving people because you realize everyone's lost and trying. You start being kind because you feel connected to everything. That's what real faith looks like. Not blind obedience, but open-hearted love. And here's the thing. Falling in love with God doesn't mean you stop being human. You still screw up, you still get angry, you still feel lost sometimes. But even in that, you start to see Him. You start to understand that He's not waiting for perfection. He's walking with you through the mess. You know how when you love someone deeply, you stop needing them to be perfect? You just want to be close to them even in their worst moments? That's how God loves you. And when you finally feel that, really feel it, you can't help but fall in love back. It's like, imagine you've been holding your breath your whole life and then suddenly you exhale and realize you were safe all along. That's what it feels like, and maybe that's why gratitude is such a powerful doorway. Because when you start being thankful for the little things, your breath, your senses, your food, your people, why, our heart opens up. Gratitude turns your attention from what's missing to what's already overflowing. And in that shift, you start seeing God everywhere. You realize you're not separate. You never were. The same force that keeps the stars burning is the same one keeping you alive. That's intimacy. That's connection. That's love. And love changes everything. It doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you better. You start wanting to live in alignment with something pure. You stop lying, stop chasing shallow things, stop trying to prove yourself. Because when you love God, you don't need validation. You already feel whole. You start treating people differently too. You see the divine in them even when they don't see it in themselves. You realize every person is fighting a battle you can't see, and the only response that makes sense is compassion. It's wild how love simplifies everything. It takes away the fear, the confusion, the endless questions. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stay open. And honestly, that's what I think spirituality is really about. Not escaping the world, but falling so deeply in love with its source, that you can't help but live with reverence. You stop seeing life as random, and you start seeing it as sacred. Every breath, every tear, every laugh, all sacred. You realize God's not somewhere up there. He's right here, in your hands, in your heartbeat, in the space between your thoughts. And when that hits you, when you feel that, that's when you fall in love. It's not dramatic, it's not fireworks, it's quiet, it's humble, it's the kind of love that makes you sit still for a moment and whisper, thank you. And the crazy part, once you start loving God like that, life starts loving you back, not because things get easier, but because you finally see the beauty in all of it. Even the storms start to look like art, so maybe falling in love with God isn't something you do. Maybe it's something that happens when you stop running, when you finally sit still long enough to notice that He's been loving you the whole time. And once that love hits, nothing's the same again. You still live, you still struggle, but everything's tinted with meaning. Everything's alive. That's the real love story. Not between you and another person, but between you and existence itself. Between you and the one who dreamed you into being. And when you get even a glimpse of that, man, you never forget it. You can't, 'cause that's home. That's the love you've been searching for in every face, every success, every high. It's always been him. And once you see that, really see it, all you can do is love him back. Quietly, gratefully, completely.